Okay, we're alive, or we're live again.
Much better than new. I think the old one wasn't this, wasn't that this is
Just
much
wasn't working
better.
out.
Yeah, this is great now. This is great. So, okay, Rude Mopar dude is back. Yes, man, we're back, obviously.
Well, there was some guy saying right before we got out that him and his friends from Massachusetts were going to drive a GNX, a real deal GNX,
Okay.
all the way from Massachusetts to the Buick Nationals in Bowling Green.
Oh, nice.
And then going to drive it, or race it, and then drive it back home. They wanted to know if we were going to go to the Buick Nationals.
That's just a bad idea.
The driving it all the way there?
Driving all over there, racing it, and driving. I know, we've always talked about this. I believe in trailering anything that you're going to go hammer on.
I agree, and I learned the hard way.
Well, yeah, everybody learns the hard way.
Yeah.
It's all, everybody's got bravado and shit. I'm going to drive it to the track, and I'm going to drive it home until, you know what I mean? You spit the entire drivetrain.
Well, that was my big problem. So my T-Bird had a stock 8.8-inch C-clips and everything, and I was spraying the crap out of it. And I sprayed it. It ran 1270s maybe, nothing super fast, but it got down to the big end and locked the rear end up.
Yeah.
Right? And as it was sliding sideways through the timing markers, all of a sudden it freed up, and I coasted back to the lanes, right? Or actually to my pit area. And I thought, oh, well, let me check it out. So I got out, I pulled on both the axles, everything seemed fine. Jumped back in the car, decided to drive it home. It was only 30 miles home, take it easy. And they were doing construction, so I decided to jump on the interstate.
Oh, that was a good move.
I jumped on the interstate, and I'm going down the road, and I see out of the driver's side door mirror, the axle sticking out about 3 feet with the tire on it, right? And I'm like, okay, time to stop. So I pulled over there, and the next time I went to the track, I had a trailer and a truck.
Everybody wants to be the hero. I drive it everywhere, right there with the tractor. I was like, yeah, but just because you just haven't had, Murphy bite you in the ass.
Not yet.
Right.
And he will. Oh, man.
Okay. So what we
someone needs a timeout in Dakota. Not Uncle Tony, not the Harden Wednesday live tech feed.
All right. Los Cadaver, UT, what is yours and your esteemed guest? He's not my guest. This is his show too. Opinion on a 430 nailhead paired to a Turbo Hydro 425 using an old caddy radiator with the built-in transcooler and routing my oil to a secondary oil pump pushing through an intercooler that's submerged in coolant.
I don't know. Well, okay, so 430 is not nailhead, but a Turbo Hydromatic 425, is that the front wheel one? Is that the transverse?
I don't even know.
A 425 would be heavier duty. I've heard of 375s where they got like a turbo 350 output shaft and a turbo 400.
Yes, I don't know. See, I got to plead ignorance. I have no idea what a 425 is. So I'm sure somebody in here can answer that and school us a little bit, because.
Can you give insight?
He's making a mid-engine Metro. Oh, okay. So is the 425? Oh,
that's that transverse mount, like
that's not transverse. That's not transverse. That's the Tornado.
Right. That's why I thought it was transverse.
Tornado.
Right? Is the motor's straight, but everything else is chain. I think it's got like a chain drive.
Yeah, it's got a chain. It's got a high-vo chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Is that what that is? The 425? Yes, the front-wheel drive Tornado. Right. And the caddy has a different bolt pattern. Is the caddy also a 425?
Well, the caddies have they use BOP, same bell housing as a Buick.
The one that they call BOPC.
That it actually is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's from warping on a 1980 231 Buick. Keep the temperature down.
All right, so let's go back to Los Cadaver's original question. Now that we know
that sounds like an awesome combo, though.
Yeah, it does sound like fun. Los Cadaver. Okay, a 430 nailhead. Well, I mean, he might have built.
I'm saying it's a 430 Buick. I think is what he's talking about.
All right. Okay. Paired to a Turbo Hydro 425 using an old caddy radiator with the built-in transcooler and routing my oil to a secondary oil pump pushing through. Well, why do you want to cool the oil so much?
I don't think it needs a secondary oil pump. What you need to do is spend a little bit of time in the timing cover and increase the volume. It being a 430, it's also got a 7/16 oil pickup. So there is guys that will go 5/8, drill them out to 5/8, but the 430 doesn't have as much material around that tube in the block. So 9/16 is a pretty good number, but what you need is volume, and I would use a stock pump, but just spend a lot of time on the timing cover and make it flow really well. You want to radius all the turns and chamfer all the turns, and I think on the big block there's 5 90-degree turns before it goes out, or greater than 90. So you'll want to take some time and open those up, but you don't need a secondary oil pump.
Okay. Fubar's putting up the link to your merch, ahraonline.com. So you guys.
Oh, that's my website. Yeah.
Website. And
yeah.
Bruce W keeps typing this over and over again, so I want to catch that. Tony, can you explain how the live with Richard Holdner came to be? We were yapping on the phone. I says, "You want to do a live tomorrow?" And he said, "Sure." So that's I couldn't get much easier than that.
No, and he's such a good dude. When he was doing his 455 Buick, he was looking for some exhaust manifolds, and I offered up, said, "Hey, I'll send them to you." And he's like, "Oh, good. I'm in California. Do you really want to send them?" Like, well, no. Let's see if somebody else is closer. Oh, Big Bear says he's got his patches and decals on Monday. Everything looks great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and hey, big thing. Tony was talking about our merch. We just started getting our 2021 merch. Yeah. Check this out. This is
Look at the shirt.
New Sportsman Drag Racing
Yeah,
shirt.
but you gotta get closer to the camera, sir.
Okay.
Turn full back to the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, stay right here.
All right.
Stay here. Okay. And come down. Wait here. Wait. I'm not getting personal with you. Okay. Look at that. Look at that shirt. Oh my God. How much is that shirt, Dallas?
Well, right now online they're $20.
That's it?
Yeah, I think so.
You mean you're giving those shirts away for free?
Almost free.
$20.
Yeah, I think they're actually 23 after we mark them up for the eBay, where eBay gigs us.
Bro, let me tell you about the price of that shirt. That is cheap at any price.
Yeah, well, you go buy any shirt anywhere, and most of the time they're over $25.
That shirt is cheap at any price. I mean, at $100 it would still be cheap.
Oh,
that's how I'm seeing it.
That's a kick-ass shirt. Yeah.
Okay, where are we? Boy, I look old and tired, huh? Oh man, because you know what? I'm old and tired.
Come to Bowling Green for the GS
Nationals. Don't move the camera, Dallas.
I thought about saying, "Hey, don't look at my ass."
Michael, Bowling Green has some mask rules, and I won't go any place where there's mask rules. If they change it by that point,
But I'll be at the Nationals. I'll be at the GS Nationals. I'm planning on being there, which I think is May the 12th. I think that's right.
Okay. Chris Greenaway, hey Tony, would you risk porting heads on a numbers matching car? Well, since cylinder heads don't have any numbers, I would say sure. Why not? Meaning that they don't have, the cylinder heads don't have a VIN number cast into them anywhere, stamped into them.
Okay.
Fabulous. I have a 79 Bronco with a Ford 400. Lots of people swap with a Ford 460. Do you guys think it's worthwhile upgrade? Well, you know the Fords.
I do. I actually am a big fan of the Ford 400. I like odd stuff, especially when something that's everyone else says is not good to really make them run.
Why do you call the 400 odd?
It was only for a few years. It's actually what I like about them. It's the 400 modified, but it's technically a Cleveland, right?
Now, how did they arrive with the 400? Like 4-inch stroke?
Yeah, 4-inch bore, 4-inch stroke. The big problem with those things was, I think the piston was 80 thousandths in the hole from the factory, and they had a lot of detonation issues because they were only like 7.6 to 1 compression. And then with the piston being that far in the hole, and then it being a open chamber later model Cleveland style head, they had a lot of detonation issues.
Why would they have detonation? With slow compression and an open chamber.
I have no idea. I think it was maybe the timing or how much fuel they were giving it, but there was a lot of problems with detonation on those motors. Now, a lot of guys have corrected it by you take the 80 thou off, right, and then you run a better set of heads instead of like the whatever heads came on them, which were probably the 2V open chamber. A lot of guys switched to the closed chamber 2V Australian
quench motor,
right? Yeah. Yep. And then go with your 40,000 head gasket, and you're good.
Okay. Jason's Speed Shop says a 400 is a great engine. He's done a few.
I think they're a great motor.
I think the 400 is one of those engines that gets a bum rap like a lot of other engines. That because they didn't have a presence in the 60s,
Right.
you know, the classic era, they don't have that. So right away people say, oh, it's a smog piece of shit, you know.
Yeah.
But actually it's
Well, the biggest travesty that happened to those things was right when they were brand new. The Cleveland needed compression to run. That's what really made them magic, right? But when they threw the 87 octane unleaded fuel at them, oh, it just murdered them, right? I mean, the Clevelands never ran as good as they did like the first year, you know.
okay.
When the Australians have them all the way through the 80s, right? And they didn't have to deal with unleaded fuel, and that's the motor to go to.
Kisba, 215 question. Todd's topical. So.
I know.
Okay. I've got a mid-engine VW rail dirt dragster. I love that, man. I've told you the idea with 215 on it, but might not be worth it unless I can get it to 7,500 RPM. Are there parts out there for that? Can you stay to 7,500?
Easy. This thing's got a real small bore, real small stroke, and then the Buick rods are like super lightweight and narrow.
Yeah, but what are you going to do to keep the oil safe?
Oil well, you need to open up all the passages. You need volume.
Okay.
Volume is the big one. But see, it does have the smallest mains out of all the Buick V8s, that 215.
What I'd like to know, right? What exactly? So you're talking about the Formula One version of it?
Yeah, the Repco,
which is obviously going to be a super high RPM deal. How do I find information on that engine, like technical information?
That's the Brabham Repco motor.
Okay.
And what they did technically was just really start off with the 215. They took the cam out of the center of the block and they made them overhead cam.
Okay.
But I want to say they ran that for about 5 years or so, something like that.
And they were competitive.
Oh, that was the motor to have.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where is Buff? Buff will be here Sunday night. He'll be here with us on Sunday night. Grant O'Connor from Christchurch, New Zealand. Welcome, my brother.
You know what? Well, I almost went and ran a race down there. Did you know on not Christmas, on our Thanksgiving, down in New Zealand at I don't know if it might be Invercargill, which is not far from Christchurch, right? But they have a race there on the beach that commemorates Burton Road. And I was going to rent a motorcycle, at the airport, ride it down there, run in that Burton Road race, and then come back.
No fun.
Yeah, I thought it was the coolest thing. My wife was 9 months pregnant at the time, and that's the only reason I didn't do it.
Okay.
The hot run guys are
Oh,
missing.
it's Dakota. It's Dakota. Well, how come Dakota hasn't been timed out? You guys are slipping.
Somebody was asking about 72, 73, 351 Cobra Jet cars. Rated that made 250 horsepower. Easy.
You're mumbling.
Oh, I'm just trying to read that question.
Oh.
And I must have said something that was wrong. It looks like it was wrong. These glasses make it worse from this distance. But he was talking about the 351 Cleveland Cobra Jets, which I'm not a big super duper Cleveland fan from the 70s. I never really was one.
They're great motors, but you're a Windsor guy.
Well, to tell you the truth, I am more of a Cleveland guy now, probably. But what I did is I took the Windsor block and put the Cleveland heads on because, to me, I started building a 331 Windsor Ford, right? And the biggest problem with the 331 is I had to buy. I was splitting blocks on 302s.
Okay.
So I had to buy an aftermarket block, then I had to buy a crank, then I had to buy rods and pistons, and then I had to buy a set of heads that was all going to make it work. And then I started thinking, well, damn, if I'm buying all that stuff, why am I not buying the biggest motor I could build, right? Because it's only $200 more. The crank was the same. It was negligible. The rods were the same. The pistons were the same.
Yeah, why not just go big?
Right. And then I started thinking that, I'll tell you what really turned me on to the Cleveland head was I started thinking of race engines. Race engines only was, like, in my personal opinion, like the Hemi, right? That head was designed for racing only, right? I mean, it's not a very good street motor just because the way that it's designed, it makes gonzo power.
Yeah, but
not good street torque, right?
Which is something we're going to do. I'm working on this video right now exactly about that topic.
Really?
Yeah, about how the results that you get on a dynamometer don't always apply to the dynamics of the way we use trucks.
Exactly. They don't translate to the street well.
Well, it's not even that. They don't like for instance, I don't want to get into the whole topic of the video now because, but the idea is a dyno, the way an engine is tested on a dynamometer, it's more akin to, let's say, a circle track or an endurance or a top end motor than a drag motor, because dynamometers don't measure transition. They measure work, but they don't measure the transition. Okay. And drag racing by its nature is all transition. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things. So you could take a dyno and you could test big port, small port, and you do it in a traditional way where you ran the motor to 2,000 RPM and you increase it 300 per second or 600 per second, wherever it happens to be. You're not going to see the same effect as if you slammed the motor into the load like you do in drag racing. Right. You see what I'm saying? Instantaneous, yeah. Right. So you don't get that same effect. You build an engine like you build a Cleveland or even like a Boss 429, right? Which were just notoriously soft. Like there was just nobody home downstairs. Right. Because you could stick your fist through the ports. Right. So the velocity was real low and it made no torque. But now if you put it on a dyno and you compare it to, let's say, a smaller port engine, you don't really see that difference. But if you run it into the load, the bigger port engine is just lazy, doesn't want to overcome until it gets up to where it. Right, it's happy. Yeah, until the velocity takes over. Oh. All right. Okay. What Fubar's giving the thumbs up? Okay. You bet that ashtray is actually a hubcap? No, it's a gold pan. It's a gold pan. I actually got this gold pan in Australia, in Goldfields, and I never really used it. And it turned out to be a better ashtray. Joe Brennan, what is the easiest way to remove pistons without scuffing them or the bore? Don't worry about it. Just knock them out. Let's see. High pressure oil pump or high volume? I go, me personally, I go neither. I use a standard volume pump. Even in the Ford days, that's what I was doing, was a standard volume pump. I look at the pump as robbing horsepower. If you have a really high pressure or a really high volume, it's moving excess oil that you don't necessarily need to move, and it's robbing horsepower to do that. Gold panning looks like a back killer. Everything we do is a back killer. Let's see. Any feeling on oil filter relocation kits? Oh, it depends really what you're on, what you're using them on. Chris Durham, Tony, you're planning to make your auto shop malt shop themed 60s through 80s music? Malt shop? No. You can guarantee there's going to be loud, screechy 70s punk playing through the place, Oh, you mean like the Ramones? Oh, yeah. You'll see. Yeah. Wait till you see the think tank. The think tank? We're turning one of our offices into the think tank. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It won't be for the meek. All right. Yeah, well, I like thinking my way around problems. I really do. I think that's fun. Joe K, where do you honestly see the motor hobby going in the near future with all these electric cars getting pushed on society? Don't stress it. Don't stress it. The electric cars are not going to happen the way nothing is getting displaced during our lifetimes. Just keep motoring forward. Just keep doing your thing and don't stress the noise. Take the noise out of the picture. Take the noise out of the picture. Okay. Put nitrous on the bug. Oh, put nitrous on the bug. He's talking he want to get 60 horsepower out of a 64 bug. Oh. And somebody said put nitrous on the bug. It's zero made it. We can all relax now. Yeah, I'm totally relaxed. I just can't wait till all these hippies get on the electric train. You know why? Because the bottom's going to fall out of oil. It will. Well, that's possible too, but save me all the dino juice. I want it all. Amanda R, we got a chicken here. Seriously, why do you not take everything to the machine shop to start with? That's the standard. Why do we not take everything to the machine shop to start with?
I don't know. There's some things I take to the machine shop, and some things
we take to the machine shops, and some things you do yourself. It just depends. Every engine, every build is different.
Yeah, but there's limitations on it. Like that set of heads we had up here a couple of weeks ago with 430 heads. Those were in pretty good shape. So all I did was clean up the seats, and I checked the guide clearances, and that was it. And if it was still within tolerance, I wasn't taking it to the machine shop. But I do have a set of 70 heads I pulled out I was going to use instead, but they need seats, so I'm taking those to the machine shop.
Gentlemen, I don't want $1,000 machine before I even start, for one thing. Well, you got to be careful when you bring stuff to a machine shop. You got to be very specific of what you want. You can't just say, give it the treatment and I'll be back whenever, right? No, that doesn't work.
I used to do the basics. Like you'd take one in there and say, okay, freeze plugs and cam bearings, right? Cam bearings, freeze plugs, hone it up, clean. All right, well, when I was taking the machine shop doing that, I was only doing one motor a year or one motor every 5 years. But now, like I ended up with quite a few 455 Buicks, and one day I took the one block in to get cam bearings put in, and it was $200, I think, $150. And I started looking at it like, man, I got 13 of these suckers to do, right? $200 a whack, you know, that's quite a bit of money. So then I looked at how much a tool was, and the tool for a cam bearing tool, install tool, was $200. And I thought, well, I'll make my money back after the first motor.
Right.
So I just stopped taking it to the machine shop. At that point, started putting cam bearings in myself. Freeze plugs were like the easiest thing in the world. I had no idea how easy they were until I had an old mechanic show me how to do them. You know, and there's tools for it to install them, but I still do it the old school way. You know, you get the socket, it just about fits, and then knock them in.
Los Cadaver says he had to give up a 340 to the machine shop because the bill was $5,000 and I had 2,200 to my name. I didn't spend $5,000 on a 340.
If you do, it better be one bad 340. 305 stuff in what? So
yeah, now Made Muscle says nowadays if you take a block in full inspection, cleaning, honing, etc., you're spending $500 easy. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and there's honestly there are no inspections that you can't do at home. There's, you know what I mean? There's.
Do Buick 455s have the best cylinder heads of the BOP variety? No, not even close. The Buicks are not. The heads don't flow that well at all. Out of all of them, I would have to say. Pontiac made some good heads, but Oldsmobile I think had
bad heads too.
Yeah, but Oldsmobile I think is the best heads I've ever seen. But then the short block can't support it.
Right.
If you can figure out a way to make an Oldsmobile support that $7,000, they'll turn them. The heads will support.
Wait, Amanda R., do you think machine shops rip people off? Some of them do. No good engine gets built with old rusty surfaces like your 318. I'll be surprised if it lasts. I've built enough of them, and I drive them every day. They seem to be doing just fine.
Amanda, you got to try building one at home without taking it to the machine shop. You need to set that goal for yourself, because I'm going to tell you right now, there is so much stuff you can get away with on a motor that it's unbelievable. I honed one probably 5 thousandths over before and put it back together. It had pits in the cylinder walls where it had water in it.
Right.
And what I found was when I took it apart, it had filled those pits in with carbon.
Thank you. It fills the pit. Okay, if you got pitted. Now I'm not talking about gouged cylinder wall. I'm talking about where you got like little pits in the cylinder wall. They fill with oil. The piston sweeps back and forth so fast that oil never has a chance to leave.
I'll tell you something that I heard. You know Rear Morrison, right?
Sure.
He used to build pro stock motors. What's his name? Is it David Rear?
Yeah, David Rear.
Okay, David Rear said in an interview one time, he said, if you're home building a motor, when was the last time you heard of a motor blowing up because it's tube loose?
Never.
Right?
Never.
But he said when you build them too tight, that's when you blow them up.
Bingo. Exactly. That's always been my philosophy. Build it loose.
Right.
You get a lot. So it's just like that. The 10 over bore. You can reuse a stock piston at 10 over bore.
Right.
Okay. And you get these people like, you'll get piston slap. It'll be loud. No. No, you will not get piston slap. And if you did get piston slap, it's going to be the slightest piston slap. And if you're concerned about that, you are watching the wrong channel. You're doing the wrong thing. You're spending your life the wrong way. If a little bit of piston slap bothers you, right? Go raise sheep or something, because you're not a muscle, you're not a car guy.
Hey, Martin.
Oh, Martin Hildebrand sent $10. Thank you, sir.
Well, if you've seen the video, the Uncle Tony's garage video with the my Suburban is the motor's made out of entirely all the leftover pieces from the 455s that no one wanted anything.
On the fuel cars, we were running 5,000ths of an inch fucking rod main clearance. I mean, you can take the fucking rod and just go like that. You know what I mean? the piston is just moving around now, because at that there's so much distortion. The higher the power level, the more distortion to the parts there are. And if you build it too tight, there's no room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to give the assembly that twisting room so that everything stays fluid and moving.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my Suburban, it piston slaps, but it still runs pretty good. It was just all leftover pieces. I did no machine work to it.
Edge to Sword, there's a trick you can do with rod bearings and they will never spin. Yeah, you pin them. Very easy to do.
And fuel motors.
Yeah.
They're all pinned. I think it's anything with the aluminum rod has a pin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything with aluminum rod does. Okay. Lobo GTX. Hi, here in Argentina with beer and cigarettes, enjoying the channel. Cheers, my brother.
Oh, man.
Detroit's are loose. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Always build it loose. If you're building an engine, right? And like I said, if you're one of these freaking Marys that's, it's going to make a noise. If you're one of these people, go away. Get off this channel.
All right. Anthony Perna, I watched your video on the 215 today. I was planning on putting a 302 and AOD in my Triumph TR7, but the TR8 came with the Rover 3.5. Is the Buick 350 similar enough to swap in with minimal effort? Yeah, it's actually the only thing that's really different about it, the deck height.
Right.
Yep. And then you'll have a couple of oil pans that you'll have to probably play with, but the best thing to find is probably a 64 Buick 300, 64 to 67. They all have the same oil pan, but Buick 300 oil pan, it's a center sump pan.
Charles F. If you grab a handful of used bearings and lifters from the bottom of a box and put it all together, all mixed up, should you expect a twist? Lifters? No. No, you're not going to make it out of the driveway with lifters. Bearings? Yeah. You go ahead and use them.
My Lemons motor, I bought a set of $25 pistons, right? That came with bearings on it.
I have boxes.
I even plastic gauged them, and I'm like, oh, good to go.
I have on my shelf, I have boxes of new bearings, right? Rod bearings, main bearings for like big blocks, small blocks, slant sticks, and then I have just a random box of used bearings. And when I got to slam them one together for myself, what do? I go right for the box of the used bearings. You look it over, if it looks okay, Scotch Brite it and throw it in.
I'll tell you,
you got that little extra thousandths of an inch clearance.
The best deal going I've seen so far. If you're an eBay fanatic, if you're an eBay fan, or if you're just a fan of building junk motors, the cheapest route to go is I find new old stock parts on eBay, where it's just like clearance. Hey, we're getting rid of these. I just bought some for the Lemons main bearings. I got the Lemons main bearings. They were all new old stock pieces, right? $25. I'm good to go. It's like, man, you can't beat that. Use the screen to run properly.
Looks like John Wilburn and Amanda R are getting into this here. Who is your husband or professional? He builds cars for professional teams. I want to meet somebody who builds stuff for a professional team, don't you?
Not really. What improvements can be made to stock 70 Buick 455 heads? Oh, well, there's a lot of guys like stage 1 valve those, but what I've heard is the best thing you can do is do a little bowl work on them and then buy some good valves that are back cut. But the 70 head is actually supposed to be one of the best heads.
John Wilburn is getting into Dave Marshall. Who's Dave Marshall? Oh, I don't want to get caught up in this drama. This is okay. Let's see.
Yeah, see, here you go. Edge to sword. I built junk that worked better and lasted longer than big buck stuff, and I would agree with that.
That's the God's honest truth.
I have built so much low end stuff, and it wasn't because I was cheap. It was because I was poor, right? Most people will say, "Hey, that's bullshit. You got a nice big house." There was a guy said that on our video the other day. $900 for a rocker arm, so you got to look at that big ass house. Yeah, well, you know what a big ass house comes with? A big ass house payment, right? So I mean, I built stuff that was secondary that wasn't costing a lot of money.
I learned that when I was a kid, right? I had no money, like no money, and everything that we built was just junk. I mean, like literally, you go to the junkyard, you know, and you get a 440 or a 383, and it's like whatever was wrong with it, you just hammer it back together again and go. And I remember slamming these fucking engines together out of just mismatched odds and ends that like they had like no oil pressure, like it sit there at idle and like there was the gauge doesn't even move. You got to give it gas and the gauge goes zoop like that and then it falls right back down again. You sit there and the motor's going right. But you take that I used to own places like Fountain Avenue and you know South Avenue and Staten Island. I used to own those places with those pieces of shit, and they would make lap after lap after lap after lap and never hurt themselves.
Well, here's one thing that's funny that most people won't think about. When you got low oil pressure, guess what your oil pressure is not doing? Robbing horsepower, right? It's not. So it's, I don't know. That's why I got into the Buicks, because you used to be able to get Buicks, especially the small blocks, for free all day long. You could go pick them up. People would say, "Hey, I pulled this 350 Buick out. Can you come get it? I'm putting a Chevrolet small block in." Sure, I'll come get it. And I'd get 4 or 5 motors and have enough parts to build one good motor.
Jason Fitch is saying, Dallas, just because you can afford nice things doesn't mean you want to piss your money away on stupid things.
That's true.
Paragon doesn't send garbage out to customers. Austin does good work. Oh, is this the guy that builds for a professional race team?
No, I'm not going to belittle the young lady. If she wants to, send me an email.
Why? What did she say to you?
Oh, nothing. She didn't say nothing to me. I just I think I don't want to be the. I don't want it to be like the dog that is wounded, right? And all the other dogs jump in and start biting on her. I just think it's BS. She's kind of out of her league. If she don't like the show, turn it off. You know.
Uncle Tony's that's Uncle Kathy. This is a machine shop in Tennessee trolling.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got it. Oh, okay. I know who that is. That's oh God, give me a second. What's the name of that? It's this guy's he's a freaking ass hammer. He's part of he's like part of the troll farm. ProWorks Engine Stands. They post something named ProWorks Engine Stands. That's this guy. How that's possible?
Well, Need Metal's asking who was GM's innovator, Pontiac or Buick? Actually, I don't think anybody had the name innovator. You know, that would be considered an innovator, but
ProWorks. That's it. Wait, no, this is great. You know, listen, I tell you what. What's his name? Austin, right? Austin from Paragon Racing Engines, right? Dude, I need to be schooled so bad. I need you to come on live with me, right? Somebody who knows this guy. This would be fun. Somebody who knows this guy, right? Make sure you tell him he has an open invitation anytime, no advance. He can want to go on that hour, whatever it happens to be. I'll automatically go on him because I absolutely need to be schooled by a professional engine builder. This ought to be fun. Let's see how this works.
Oh, best Buick 455s to use, and in terms of oiling system, is 72 and later, question mark. Oh, that's guaranteed. The 72 and later came with the 5/8 inch oil passage for the pickup, and they had a 5/8 inch oil pickup. Now all of The timing covers for 71 and later all had a bigger inlet, but they all need the chamfer work. They all need the drilling. They all need to open up because they're all, once you get past the inlet side of it, it all becomes 7/16, so it doesn't matter.
Let's see.
The roller cam at 89 TBI 318 still be able to use a fuel pump eccentric. Oh, if it had TBI, I know GM stuff, they had all of them blocked off pretty much and no eccentric on them. I don't know about the Mopar 318
though. Let's see. What is too much oil pressure on a small block Chevy 350? I would say that anything more than 10 pounds per 1,000 RPM is wasting oil or wasting horsepower.
Yeah, and you can actually get away with 7 to 8 pounds.
Well, they say 7 pounds. 7 pounds. The formula is a minimum of 7 pounds for every 1,000 RPM. So, but I mean, if you want to stay, if you want to stay on the peace of mind side,
yeah, 10 is easy.
Yeah, 10 is easy. You know, hot idle, you want about 15 pounds of pressure. You don't want any more than that. It's not necessary. You just, and you want about 1,000 RPM, 10 PSI for every 1,000 RPM. So if you're playing a 6,000 RPM motor, shoot for 60 PSI total.
And then someone was asking about a 401 nailhead. What's the best oiling mod you can do to a 401 nailhead? And I'll say it again, that like I haven't had any nailheads. I've never had a nailhead.
He's a Buick guy, right? But no nailheads. Have you been a Buick guy?
They were always expensive because they're a sexy ass motor, and it was like every hot rodder wanted one to put in their street rod.
Dude, I want one just to put on a stand. I don't want to actually doing it. Yeah. I want a nailhead with those little fucking the argon injectors, the little right, not the Hillborn, right? The little argon injectors, right? I want one of them just on an engine stand.
Well, the nailheads actually didn't have the major oil problems like the 350 and the 455, the small block and big block family that came later, because all those had the timing cover, had the oil pump in the timing cover, which kind of led to the problems. The nailhead was different. It was the distributor was in the back and the oil pump was in the sump.
Dripping glass. Should I get aluminum heads for my 440 or port the 906 as I've had? I've heard you can run higher compression with the aluminum. Thanks. There's a school of thought that says aluminum dissipates heat quicker than cast iron does. But honestly, in the fucking heat of the moment, during that, while the engine's actually functioning, I think that's more theory than reality.
I've seen a lot of this. Over the past 10 years where it's like, oh, aluminum is better because it, like you said, dissipates heat,
right?
Keeps it from detonating as easy, right? But then I've also seen cast iron makes horsepower because it makes heat, and heat's what creates horsepower.
Well, the thing about the aluminum dissipating heat, okay? So between rounds, it's going to cool down quicker,
right?
Okay, which is a benefit.
In relation to drag racing.
In relation to drag racing.
Yeah.
Between rounds, it's going to cool down quicker, right? So you're ready to go that much. But during the actual, while the engine is running, I don't think it can get rid of the combustion heat as quickly as it, right? Because now you're not running an endurance thing. You're not running this thing out at 7,000 RPM, 5 miles, okay?
Right.
You're running this thing for a few seconds. And during that few seconds, there's no way the heat is going to dissipate any quicker.
Right. Especially the higher RPM you're going to get, right?
Right, exactly. So it's more of a myth than anything else.
But an aluminum set of heads will probably come with better ports than what your 906 would. Yeah. But if you ported the 906, it would be almost a toss-up, and you would probably have a considerably less amount of money in the 906 heads than you would an aluminum set.
Steve Bico is Tony is $2,000 fair for a rebuilt 350 turbo transmission installed with a shift kit converter done 84. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
That seems like a lot.
And hey, if that's an 84 horse old, that comes with that kick-ass lightning rod shifter.
A lot of it depends on the converter too. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a converter, but a typical converter is spending maybe $400 or so. Nah, I think that price is probably around $1,000.
Well, are you sure it's a
$800 too
350
high.
turbo? Because in an 84, Hurst Olds would have came with a 204R. And that price is probably not too far off. Because it was an
getting
overdrive.
away from the 200R4 and going to a turbo 350.
Then that's really expensive. Usually, the last turbo 350 I had rebuilt was about $500. And that was completely gone through. But that wasn't a converter.
Who's this Amanda that's no way for a lady to talk? Oh, I don't want to get wrapped up in this drama.
Let's see.
Oh, she was timed out. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get involved in this drama. Is it true you can install hardened seats on Pontiac heads? No, you can't install hardened seats on Pontiac heads. That's a good question. I've never heard of a problem with that.
I don't know. I would assume every Pontiac head after 71 had to have hardened valve seats. So I don't see why you couldn't, but there may not be a need to. Back in like 91, 92, Hot Rod Magazine had an article that talked about which cylinder heads had to have hardened valve seats and which did not. And they were saying, okay, you know, like all the Buick guys were putting hard valve seats in 68, 69, 67 through 69 big block heads. And that magazine article actually contradicted and said, hey, there's so much material in the Buick big block head, it would pull the heat out of the seat, so it didn't matter.
I want to talk about that concept for a second, but first I want to talk about Anthony Perna. So $5. Thank you, Anthony. When I called a piston manufacturer about putting hyperprotective pistons in my 455 volts, they told me I can't because it will detonate with cast heads. That makes no sense at all. Basically, what happened was you called a piston manufacturer that wasn't KB. KB is who makes the hyperprotective pistons. So whichever piston manufacturer you called was trying to steer you away from buying their competitor's product. Yeah, no, that's not true. Oh, okay, we got another super chat here. Motor Swaps, 499, thank you, sir. Hey guys, what would you recommend for skirt clearance on a standard small block Chevy and constant high RPM stock application? Can't reach specs but wanted input. I'm not familiar with
the
single track type motors, so I couldn't.
The manufacturer is also going to tell you too. When you buy a set of pistons, it'll come with instructions in there that tells you how much skirt clearance you need.
Right.
I want to say most of them, if it's a forged piston, is like generally 4,000 to 6,000.
And again, see, it's going to differ from piston manufacturer to piston manufacturer.
And it's all going to be based on the bore size as well, the material it's made of, right?
But most importantly, how elliptical is the piston? Because they're talking about skirt clearance.
Right.
Okay. So how elliptical is the piston? Not all pistons are the same.
No.
You know, you realize the piston is the only part of a piston that's actually round is the very head of the very top of it. Once you get down to the skirt area, it's elliptical, right? Meaning it's oval shaped. Okay. So, but different manufacturers have different degrees of that in there. So, that's a question you really need to ask the supplier of the pistons that you're gonna,
because a lot of it's based on expansion rate of that skirt.
Okay.
Ran high protective in my 600 horsepower big block Chevy with cast iron heads for years. Yep, that's right. I'm building a 455 right now. It's 462 with high protective pistons. All the Buick guys say, don't do it, they'll jump, right? Well, that's what they've used in every engine since 1992, I think. High protective pistons.
I got them in my 73 Roadrunner on 340, and they're loud. I mean, yours are about a loud piston.
Oh, was it clattering?
They make all rattle. Yeah, but that thing runs fine, doesn't it? You can hammer it all day long. You know, it's always happy. It doesn't use any oil. It doesn't ever breaks itself or anything like that. But that's got the hyperstatics and it's fucking tongue.
Yeah.
You're sitting there idling, you hear those like on the roll, you know.
Yeah, it's just like a Ford truck out there. Does anyone here know Mad Mopar Man?
I've been for us.
I think a Buick compares to a Pontiac 455. Okay, so how do y'all think a Buick 455 compares to a Pontiac 455 in relation to what? But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you're probably looking for power numbers. The Pontiac has, I believe, is the smallest bore and the biggest stroke for the 455 motors from GM. The Buick is a complete opposite of that, with the biggest bore and the shortest stroke. But I would have to say the Buick probably has the biggest main bearings out of all of them. Does it really? Pontiac has a bigger main
No,
bearing?
not the, I think Oldsmobile has the biggest.
Biggest main bearings? Gosh.
Yeah, Oldsmobile main bearings are huge.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing that kills them is that really how much oil you need to cover that bearing surface.
Thank you, Noah.
Okay. Best way to prevent burning plug wires on headers. Oh, pull them up, tie them up.
Well, I see. Plug wires is something I'm really super anal retentive about. Right? It's one of the few things that I'm like, I spend a ridiculous amount of time fussing and just, you know what I mean? Like tweaking them to get them just exactly the right.
I do the same thing. And my buddy taught me a trick a long time ago with zip ties, where you zip tie them each individual one and you tie them together and you make a wire loom, right?
Yeah.
But it keeps them from falling down.
Your best way to keep your plug wires from burning on the headers is take the extra time. And you know, sometimes you can't use all straight boots, or sometimes you can't use all angle boots. Like for instance, on a small block Mopar with headers, I don't use straight boots. Right away, if you say, okay, well, if the plugs are all sticking out like this, right? It's easy to use a straight boot. But the straight boot gets you in trouble at cylinders 5 and 7 because there's a tube that passes over the top of them. It's a universal, like every set of small block Mopars you're going to find. So I use angle boots on all of them, and I go under the headers. And
go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It looks unorthodox, but there's no chance of ever burning a wire.
These guys are talking about main size, which gives me an idea.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna find out for real who's got the biggest mains. Right? We're gonna pull up the Bible here. Anybody do one of them?
Oh, I remember those books.
They're good, man.
They are good.
All right. So as you can see, the Buick pages are pretty thin. Let's see here. I'm pretty certain that the Buick main is same as a Pontiac, 325. Okay, so that's the Buick's. I know for a fact I use the Pontiac rear main seal. That's what I use in my Buicks. So big block Buick, Pontiac, both are at 3 1/4. Let's see what. We'll look at a Cadillac right now.
Send the mods a case of beer, Brian. Yeah, I probably should.
Okay.
John Wilburn's getting into this Amanda chick.
No.
Go sit on a camshaft. Oh God.
All right. Big block or Cadillac, 472 and 500, 3 1/4 inch main.
Danny boy, Amanda hugging kiss.
All right.
I love this stuff.
I didn't want to get in the middle of it. It seemed like somebody was just there to piss everybody off.
Probably.
It's like,
that's what trolls do.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not into it at all. I mean, if you want to just cause hate and discontent, fuck off, get off the page. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Will you deal already? Tony, would you do a 360 or 440 and a 70 Challenger? You know, but just because it's a 70 Challenger, I'd probably do the 440, but only because it's a 70 or it's like a 71 Challenger. But that's just like a weird quirk of my own. The 360 is a much better choice.
How did I miss Pontiac?
And Fubar is putting up the links. Fubar is such a he's such a good guy. He's always
always pushing my
He's
stuff.
always looking out for us. So Fubar just put up the link to AHRA online, right? So you can join the AHRA, become a member of like it's the second oldest sanctioning body in the world.
Right? Yeah. NHRA was the first.
Yeah. But much better. The AHRA is much better.
It's focused on the sportsman.
It's much better.
Which is
it's just much better. Don't worry about the focus on it. It's just much better. And the new shirts. Show me new shirts.
Oh,
guys,
all right.
You're gonna see the shirt. Seriously, right? Look at the shirt.
All right. So here we are. Oh, been down.
Oh my God!
I tried to make it like you remember the
I want
Black
to take
Sabbath.
all of my merch and just throw it away now.
You remember the Black Sabbath album cover where it had like the guy with the sword coming at you?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was shooting for with this.
Okay. I think you got it.
It looks good.
Yeah, and how much is that shirt?
I think all in all it's $23 on
Oh
eBay.
my God. It's the cheapest thing ever. And where do they find them?
It's actually in our eBay store. We just do an eBay store. It gives us the flexibility because I'm on the road so much to do sales. If we had our own little store, the stuff would just go into the email queue and nobody'd be there to answer it because I'm on the road.
Well, he'll have his merch at our new digs once we get that open in about 2 weeks. We should be there in about 2 weeks. But you'll be able to buy Dallas's AHRE merch at our place once we've got it kicked open. Live if you happen to be coming by the area. But yeah, go to eBay AHRE. What is it, just AHRE?
It's a AHRA official. We're the only ones on there that have AHRA anything because I spend a lot of time crushing all the fake people.
Yeah, I need one of those shirts.
So the Pontiac, 3 1/4 inch main, just like I said. Where is the Oldsmobile?
Mopar then got a set of AHRE patches in the eBay store. Arrived quickly.
Yeah, I don't mess around.
No,
that's the first thing I actually do in the morning is go through the eBay sales and send those things out because I know that if I hate when I owe somebody something. I hate it. Right.
That's
so it's like as soon as I see it,
that
sucker's going out the door. Right.
Motor swaps. Picking up a Storm Bolton Blockmaster tomorrow. I want to thank you all for inspiring me to go for it. It came from 2 engine stands a year and a half ago. Congratulations, brother, man. Just keep moving forward. See, that's the psychic pay. I used to work with this guy named Steve Collison, who was the editor of Superstock and Drag Illustrated for years, right? And he used to talk about psychic pay a lot, where it's like, okay, you get paid for your job, like we get paid from YouTube, we get paid for Super Chat, we always appreciate. But then there's the psychic pay, where it's like you guys are inspired by something that we do or something that we say or just the general vibe of everything, and you get ahead and it's like that is psychic pay. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Hey. So the Oldsmobile 455 has the smallest main.
Okay.
2.9998, so 3 inch.
Okay.
The Pontiac and the Buick have the biggest, and it's actually Pontiac, Buick, and Cadillac all at the same size.
Well, what size is the Oldsmobile?
3 inch main.
So you're saying
it has a 2.9998 for the Oldsmobile 455, and then the Buick. And then even if you go to the 400 and 425, it's only 3 inch. But the Buicks and the Pontiacs and Cadillacs are 3 1/4.
Oh, okay.
So
I had that backwards.
Well, I just figured
the Oldsmobile must be narrower then because they give you the appearance. What's the bearing width on it?
Oh, it doesn't tell you the width. I don't think
it should.
Shaft and plate journal
width. Main journal width.
It doesn't give you width. It says journal diameter.
It's going to give you a
thrust number 3. 7.
Yeah, but it's going to give you a width for the thrust.
It does not. I know the Buick one is wide though, especially the last one. The last main is wide.
Okay, let's see. Oh, Rob Durazio got his AHRE packet very quickly. Awesome. Andrew Button, I had original AHRE stuff back in the day. That sticker reminds me of something I've forgotten. Well, I mean, he is the AHRE.
Yeah.
So like, if you sell something that's original AHRE, I know, I have. I know that I've seen those.
Man, 700 pounds for that 304.
Dakota,
that's one heavy motor.
Dakota, what's got to be the first time ever? Dakota. Unfinished project, Plan Z.
Who's that? John Wilburn, and it's a Hobart Handler 140. It's a GP 110 welder.
Okay. Tony, when you built your first Hemi street motor, would you say it lives up to all the legends? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm going to tell you right now, if you build a Hemi, right, a street Hemi, right, the way you would build a street Hemi, and you're expecting it to just be like this earth-changing experience, it's like, oh my God, I've never felt anything like this in my life. You're going to be drastically disappointed. The Hemi comes into its own. when it has to handle huge volume of fuel like alcohol or nitro, or when it's run at extended high RPM, 6,000 RPM and up, like on a circle track, that's where the Hemi comes into its own. But if you think you're going to build a 426 Hemi and have this crazy thing that's just going to rotate the earth every time you touch the gas, forget it. You're going to be drastically disappointed.
You know, the funniest thing I ever heard was an interview with Don Garlitz when he was talking about when the brand new Hemis came out. He said he went to Cotton Owen's shop.
Okay.
Cotton Owen with NASCAR motors, right? They took that brand new Hemi and they put it at the 425 horsepower mark, you know, probably what, 6,000 RPM, something like that. And then went to lunch. And then Cotton said, if it's running 1 million back,
it's good.
It's still a keeper. All right, the beefiest engine is an MG. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would say the beefiest engine for pound, what it is, small block Chevy is pretty freaking healthy.
No, beefy?
Yeah,
small block Chevy?
They're heavy.
Oh, come on. Compared to a Mopar, a small block Mopar?
I don't know what a small block Mopar
Or
is.
a big block Chevy?
Big block Chevy's heavy.
They're dense. There's a lot of metal in there.
So that you know, the small block Chevy weighs 25 pounds difference of the big block Buick. So that gives you an idea how heavy that sucker is.
But John Wilburn saying, Tony, you should make an official invite to our ProWix guy to either tell us that Austin is not the same guy or school us on proper engine oil. I did. If ProWix or Austin, whatever he goes by, if he wants to come on and school me, because I really do need to be schooled, it's an open invitation anytime. All he has to do is just literally contact me and say, I want to go live right now. And I will absolutely drop anything I am doing and go live with him anytime. You know, and I extend that to anybody who's like part of the troll farm. I will go live with you anytime, no buts, no excuses, no nothing. Anytime you want to go, just let me know. I'll drop what I'm doing. I could be eating dinner. I'll stop eating dinner and go live with you. Because I seriously need to be schooled.
Well, I tell you what would be kind of funny is like after you come on here and troll on the live feed, and then you get schooled on another live feed. That would be actually kind of worth it.
That would be awesome. Imagine all this schooling. You can't pay for an education like that.
Put a new motor truck last week, and I spent a whole day troubleshooting why I wouldn't start. It ended up being.
You got to talk a little bit louder.
Oh, I'm just reading one of these things that says, I put a new motor in my truck last weekend. I spent a whole day troubleshooting. Why being the engine ground I forgot to put on.
It happens. It happens. You know what used to bite a lot of people in the ass? For years, Ford used, when I first started putting the computers in the cars, when it was the EEC4, the EEC3, EEC4, right? There was a little pigtail. It was a grill. Do you know what I'm talking about?
On the back of the motor, behind the intake panel?
No. The one off the negative on the battery. There's a little pigtail.
Oh yeah, when you buy the battery, when you buy the cables, replacement cables, they have that little battery too, that little pigtail on it. Right?
Yeah, well, that pigtail would get dirty because it was in the vicinity of the battery. That was the ground. I don't know why they did that, but they ran the ground for the processor directly to the battery. And that pigtail would get dirty, and it would cause all kinds of crazy drivability problems.
I was thinking of you know the one on the back of the motor that's part of the it's part of the O2 harness.
Yeah.
Guys would leave that off because it was grounded on the intake, the upper intake manifold bolt, right? And there was one of them that was like a stud. And when people would take it off, they're like, "Oh, why one stud?" And take it out and just put another bolt in it, right? And they'd leave that ground off, and then nothing would work right.
Michael Moore, did the Mopar K heads flow better versus the standard street? I mean, no, exactly the same. There were two versions of the K head. You had the 1964 cast iron one and a 1965 aluminum one. And they had the exact same ports, exact same combustion chamber layout, the exact same ports as the street heavy head, what's known as the X head. Let's see.
Oh, I don't know if Uncle Tony could give a hoot But do you have a preference on tool, truck tool, Snap-on, Cornwell, Mac?
No, I'm like a tool gypsy. You know what I'm saying? I just pick them up here and there wherever, because you know what? I lose them as fast as I find them. As fast as I buy stuff, it's gone. You know.
Well, and we've said this before, I think on the tech show, was like, when you need tools, instead of spending a whole bunch of money at the truck, go down to the pawn shop, right?
Yeah.
Clean out the pawn shop.
I'm one of those guys that if I have to get into a tight space, you know what I mean, or whatever I'm gonna do, I don't want to think. I don't even want to consider it an issue that I bend the fucking wrench or I weld the thing onto it or I cut it in half. I don't want to even think about it. You know what I mean? I just want to get the job done. So I think when you start investing in like, high-end tools, then you get that hesitation. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to, you know what I mean? I want to get the job done. If I have to weld this socket to that nut to get the thing done, that's it.
I'll show you the coolest 5/16 wrench I own. It's to get the Buick, the oil pump, or the oil pump pickups on, right? Like, look at that, murder this dude. He can't be used for anything.
Yeah.
Right? But it's so ground down.
Yep.
So you can get clearance on the oil pump pickup tubes because the bolts are so close to the actual neck.
Yep.
You got room.
Okay.
It's the engine. No.
Shitty stuff is the best. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I mean, wait, there's a limit because there are some really shitty wrenches that like you just pull on them and they break. And I had that happen.
I try to stay away from the Chinese wrenches.
I was helping somebody with their car. I was using their tools and they had these like the really cheap Chinese things. And it was like a 5/8 wrench, and I just pulled on it, and the fucking wrench broke in half.
So I learned my lesson the hard way. If anyone on here has ever done Buick header bolts, on the heads there is a center bolt on the Siamese exhaust ports.
Oh yeah, on the bottom.
And when you have headers,
They
the tubes,
right,
the tubes come right over the top, right?
Right.
And you can't reach them. You got to get up under the car, and literally you got to have like 3 different wrenches. And all of them have a different degree of turn on them, and you got to eat that sucker in, and it takes forever.
Let's see. Bruce W. I have a ridge reamer. I got in a deal. My friend wants to remove the ridge on his engine. I hear they're tricky to use. Your thoughts? I've never used one.
Oh, I have a couple of them, and I've never used them.
Yeah, I'm doing this since I'll be 59. I'm doing this since since I'm 14. I have never used a ridge reamer. I have no idea how you'd even.
Yeah, I've seen my dad use them.
Yeah, I've seen people use them. Me myself, I've never used one.
Older tools are just better made.
Oh, I was absolutely right.
That's 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I'm looking for stuff, I look for vintage Craftsman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think those are really killer?
I just like the way they feel, right? Like the more polished tools, like Snap-on and Mac and all. I don't like that chrome.
Oh.
I don't like the loose feel. I like the grip that you get with the Craftsman.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. But I have found that, like those tools like a Snap-on or a Matco or even Mac, whatever, if it says 5/8, it is a tighter 5/8 fit than like a Craftsman.
That's true also, yeah.
I use Craftsman most of my whole life, and anybody who's ever taken the like fuel lines off of a quadrajet, they know you got to have a line wrench, right? Otherwise you're going to round that sucker off. Because they're just I don't know what they're made of, like aluminum.
Line wrenches, I've never successfly used a line wrench.
Well, what I found is when I use a line wrench, if it's wrong, it rounds all the heads or all of the edges on the entire thing at one time. But when I use like a Mac or a Snap-on, it'll fit so tight you don't have to worry about the line wrench.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, I'll always if I'm doing a line, right, I'll get obviously you find the tightest fitting wrench that you have, and then just shock it, just
smack it
a few times, and they break loose.
Yep. But I don't know how many of them. fuel lines I was screwed up on quater jets in the junkyard.
Yeah.
And then you just like, thank God I brought my hacksaw. Then just cut it off. Pull the center support on a turbo 400 transmission. You know why they use a snap-on socket. Oh, if you have ever pulled the center support on a turbo 400 transmission, you know where to go.
You know why you can only use a snap-on socket?
Oh, I don't know. I have pulled the center support on a turbo 400.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can't think of what he's talking about specifically, but I'm sure in my life there's probably 50 turbo 400 swaps in my life, and I can't ever remember having to use a snap-on socket. You forget, I was in the regular repair business through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and you know, I would go, I do magazines and get back into repair. I do funny cars and I get back into repair. I do coffee, I get back into repair. I did all these different things and always went back to repair. So it's like I've worked on everything, you know, for years. And I can't remember. Mark Hildebrand, a decent mechanic can make most wrenches work, and he is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best mechanics, if you notice, you find like the really sharp guys, the guys that like blow the stuff out, they have minimal tools. They don't need a giant box with a variation of everything. There's a guy in my neighborhood. He's, I'm going to say he's probably my age, maybe a little bit younger, right? Black guy. He's got, he works out of his house, got like a 2-car garage, a little bit smaller than this, okay? This guy does huge volume. I mean, like every day. There's like cars, there's like 6 or 7 cars lined up in his backyard. They've got him, you know, he's got him in the driveway. He runs an extremely clean shop. Like, and as a guy who's run shops out of his house, I know how important it is. I know how difficult it is. But he runs it extremely clean. If you didn't know he was doing this, you know, you wouldn't know just by driving by. But he's always got work lined up, and his tools minimal, absolutely minimal. He's got like a
box like that.
Like that. He's got a box like that. The sharper the guy, and the more in tune he is with the things that he's working with, the less he needs to get it done.
Oh, I can agree with that 100%. Because out of all the tools in my toolbox, I bet I only use 10% of them. So the majority of them, I go to the same tool every time. You know, and the one tool that everybody hates the most, like the adjustable wrench, I have one that's like my go-to.
Oh, yeah. When you wrote this, what was this now? When you wrote the story, do you actually believe that the Mutt brothers actually erased with 2T? Well, it was $250,000. You can understand something. I know those guys personally. The names had to be changed because of legal. See, I wrote the story originally with all of the regular names, but the publisher was afraid. So all their names, like the Mutt brothers, got changed to the Mudd brothers, right? Barry's name got changed to Bobby, right? So I had to change those things for the story. But you got to understand, I knew all those guys. It's like, you know, but yeah, it's absolutely true.
AutoZone Duralast tools are the best for the money with lifetime warranty. I don't know. I don't own hardly any of them. That's why I don't know.
Big Bear, my toolbox is smaller than that, but I have some specialty tools on the shelf. Yeah, I do the same thing. I take the specialty stuff and like stick it in different places because you don't really want it in the mix when you're just doing regular stuff.
I wish I had my stuff hanging on the wall. Yeah.
I have stuff hanging on the wall.
Yeah. I love with the wall hangers with the what is that? The corrugated board that you put up there.
Yeah.
I always want to get that. I don't even know where the heck you buy that stuff at.
Oh, Home Depot.
Do you really? Huh.
Dooz's shop says, am I the only one with mechanic's toolbox in the trunk of my daily at all times? Probably.
Would you buy a new style of an old vehicle model, even though they have updated systems?
Me, absolutely not. Zero interest in any. I understand all the modern systems. You know, I respect them. I agree that everybody should have nice, updated, contemporary, you know, stuff in their cars. I don't want it in my life. So no, absolutely not. You could give it to me for free. I don't want it. Jeremy Davis, UTG, dug out my 440 short block today. Regasketed the 318 Friday. Does an engine need to be arranged shortly after in order to seal the gaskets? No, it does not. You can just let it sit. You'll be fine.
But what you will find is like sometimes you might have. See, I put a couple 455s together, brand new. Put them together, fill it with water. It'll start to seep around like a bowl hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you fire it up, you break it in.
Everything.
And it doesn't seep anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see here.
Yeah. I hate when this happens. I zone out. I'm trying to read questions.
And this is where we probably should have had like a really good topic tonight, even though we got distracted by everything going on.
I think we're having a great conversation.
No, this has been pretty good. I tell you what, I've been kind of sidetracked by Amanda Hugginkiss or whatever her freaking name was. Like, why would I still can't figure out why would somebody come troll a show? I don't understand it.
It's just the way it is.
It's like, oh man.
These people generally don't have a life.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You people, trolls, go to your kitchen, get a Walmart bag, put it on your head, and tie it really tight.
Don't, you know, listen. Okay, the initial reaction to a troll is exactly like, it's like, stick your head in the fucking oven and turn it on, right? But you gotta realize this is tragic. It's tragic. You know what I mean? That they have to, whatever it happens to be, there's something that's so missing from their existence that they have to
backlash on everybody else or lash out, I guess.
I feel bad for them. It's hard for me to get mad at them. It's hard for me to hate them because I feel bad for them.
No, I hate them. I just don't understand the concept. It was like, hey, I walk in a store and if there's something going on in the store I don't like, I leave.
Well, I agree. I'm the same way.
Of course, I'm like a no bullshit guy. I don't like to create conflict. I don't like to. I mean, I can live with conflict.
I love conflict,
but I hate like going somewhere and looking for it, searching it out.
Oh yeah, I don't create the conflict, but I welcome it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like it's a challenge. You know what I mean? It's a challenge, just like everything else. Bring me conflict. Trashing my fans. Unfinished project. I never trash my fans. I love my fans, and I like the trolls. Dude looks like a lady. Me?
I don't know. All right, Plan Z Dark. Well, that was. What do they want to know? I mean, isn't the Plan Z's up and running, right? You're waiting for just a couple of weeks to go do some time runs on it.
I was gonna take the car out and do some shorties, just some 60s and see what happens. And I threw the damper off. I was messing around with the car and so I revved it, right? And then I heard just a little chunk, right? And then what was that? And I kept the engine running, revved it up another couple of times. Was ready to put it on the ground and bring it out, and I realized when I looked and the belt was just flopping around. The damper the inertia ring broke off. The inertia ring slipped off the damper and took off.
Oh, is it like all the other inertia rings that's got the rubber in the center? So you just need to swap a new one on?
Yeah, I just haven't had the time or the presence of mind at the moment.
Oh, wow. Well, you got a bunch of super chats there.
Oh, man. Relco, thank you, sir. Need a push past Project Funk. Went back and watched the Ultimate Car Guy Survivor Guy. What a great reminder of how and why. Thank you, UTG. Thank you. See, that's what we inspire people.
Well, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. He said $5, and I appreciate him spending $5. But honestly, the fact that we inspired you is worth more than the $5 to me. Thank you, though.
Let's see. There was another one.
There was another one.
There was this one here.
Oh, there we go. Mike Johnson, great Buick engine video. Reminds me of certifying the original Rover in the 80s. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
We should have spent a lot more time going to Wikipedia because there was something I left out on that video.
I realized it afterwards. I'm like, we could have done a little fucking research.
Well, what was funny was like all that was off the cuff, and then when we got done with it, it was like, man, I'm glad I dumped all that because it was making my head hurt. But the one thing that I totally forgot to throw out there that I thought was one of the most interesting pieces was the Buick 350 in like 74 when they went to EGR and HI came out with cap screw rods from the factory.
When was this?
Like 74. They all had cap screw rods to the end of production after 74, which was like, I don't know of any other manufacturer that was doing cap screw rods.
No, I can't think of it either. I'm trying to picture.
Oh. This guy sent you $3.11 for Amanda repellent.
That is Super Mod John Wilburn.
Oh, that's John Wilburn?
Super Mod.
Why has the Mickey Thompson Super Scavenger headers been the choice of the Buick community? Ooh, I don't know if they're actually the choice. I know that's what Kenny Bell used to sell. And what I found is that most of the Buick guys are reluctant to change on anything. And if Kenny Bell sold anything, that was the end all be all, the top notch. And it really probably at the time was the only notch, to be honest with you. But then TA has come out with, matter of fact, there was a few years ago, somebody did they did a run of those Mickey Thompson Super Scavenger headers for big blocks. But why, I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with it just being those were the parts sold by Kenny Bell, which was the only Buick place at the time.
Bruce W., new shop. Can we have an update where things are at? Update. Let's see. We're working on setting up office. We're working on setting. We had to pick up some furniture and shit because so we bought a couch and a chair today.
Oh, you need another chair? I have a chair.
Well, like
office furniture.
Nice, nicer stuff. So. I mean, really no updates other than I'm trying to figure out what gets moved where and when it's going to get moved there. I got a lot of cleaning to do. I got benches that got to get cleaned. I got things that have to be sorted. I got to buy shelving. So my head is completely occupied with all of that stuff right now. There's like nothing sexy to talk about in terms of like what's going on with the shop. But as soon as there is, we'll update.
We need a room dedicated to. It's got to have a disco ball. And
say no more. That's the think tank.
Oh, the think tank's gonna have a disco ball?
The think tank is I don't know about a disco ball, but definitely a strobe light.
All right. Well, man, and if you're gonna bring a record player, I got some wicked vinyl we can bring over there.
Well, I don't know about a record player. But I mean, we can probably throw a record player in there. But yeah, it'll have a mind-crushing sound system.
That's what you need is to really get the juices flowing, right? Yeah. I'm a Chrysler guy, but Oldsmobiles interest me.
Okay. Michael Morrow, when you had your Fox body, did you ever find yourself at a street light up against the Grand National and you were a tad nervous? I don't know when it comes to street racing, I have no idea what a tad nervous is. I race anything.
That was fun. It was just fun. My excitement level will be like super high. But
yeah.
Are you questioning if you should be out in front of that Grand National? You're damn right. And at the 8th mile, you better be pulling on them.
Let me tell you something. I haven't street raced in years, but when I was doing it relentlessly 7 nights a week. And I can't ever remember anything I didn't willingly line up against, of course, are you going to bet on this race or is it just for shits and giggles? Because if it's for shits and giggles, I'll run anything, anytime, anywhere. I don't care what you put me on the line. If it's money, then you got to think about it. But no, I was never nervous lining up against anything.
Well, just remember that Grand National. If you're racing that Grand National, that sucker's a 6-cylinder coming out of the hole. Unless it's got converter in it.
Well, okay. So you want to talk about this, right? Because so you go back to the late 80s, okay? When that's what we were doing. We were street racing Fox body cars and Grand Nationals. And the thing about the Grand Nationals was you got to watch that car, okay? How many laps has that car made? Right? Has that thing been sitting in a parking space for the last half hour? Okay, and now you're going to run it.
Right.
Because if so, you're in trouble. Okay,
right.
But has he been hot lapping it? Has he made 4 runs in a row? And now he wants to, let's go, man. Because no problem.
Well, that was my high school years. But those cars were everywhere.
Yep.
Oh man, the Grand Nationals and Fox Body Mustangs, they were everywhere. And they weren't the fastest things on the planet at the time. It was generally somebody had a muscle car that would just schwack them all. But the Grand National, you had to have a distance on because that sucker would come on you so hard once it got up on the boost. And that thing was making 10, 15 pounds of boost. That little 231 Jack Giant Killer is now 462 cubes, and it's running you down, right? And they ran good. Paul Zazarine wrote he did an interview in 2004 on this TV show called Muscle Car. Did you ever see that show? It was on Speed Channel.
No.
American Muscle Car? Maybe that's what it was. American Muscle Car. I'll let you borrow. I got a season of it. You'll love it.
All right.
But Zazarine did this interview. He said the Grand National was the weirdest car I ever drove for the magazine because I got in the car and I had to roll the windows down and make sure it was running, right? And he said it didn't make any noise. And you get on that sucker and it would start laying you back and it just keep laying you back.
Well, I have a distinction with that. You're talking about Paul Zazarine in the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first person to put a turbo Buick in the 13s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cars Illustrated magazine, 1987. It was an 80s. The magazine was the beginning of at the beginning of '87. It was an '86 T-type,
mm-hmm.
And it ran 1385 at 99 miles an hour with it. And that was the very first 13-second ET by a Buick turbo car.
That's cool. I think they're
the magazine it was Cars Illustrated, and actually, you know what? You can find this online if you want. The article was called "From Buick with Balls," and it's been reprinted a couple of times, but I know you can absolutely just go to Google, right, and put "From Buick with Balls" in, and you'll see that story come up. Actually, Buick asked if they could reproduce that story in their newsletter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you get like royalties every time that happens or something?
Oh, I was just honored to have it.
Like hell yeah, reprint that sucker. A Fox Body Capri in the mid '90s. Oh, that would be cool because nobody would have expected those.
There were a couple of them running around.
They were fast. They were just as fast as a 5-liter Mustang.
It was a Mustang.
That's why I like my T-Bird. My T-Bird was the most like docile looking. Had it not been for the turbo coupes, the guys knew about the turbo coupes, but they didn't know about the 5-liter Sport, which was what my T-Bird was.
Tom Hughes. Oh, come on, guys. In the 80s and 90s, street racing was never about Grand Nationals and all about Fox Body guys needing power adders. When the late 80s or very early 90s was like the dawn of the power adder age. The only things you ever find out there were turbochargers were the Grand Nationals. And nobody was putting turbos on small block Chevys or small Fords or anything like that. And the only common power adder of the time was nitrous systems, and they weren't that sophisticated. You didn't have anywhere near what you got today as far as like the equipment and the science. Most people just poking in the dark. You get with the NOS. What was that called? The Power Shot, was it?
150 horsepower.
Yeah, that was it. That was high science in the late 80s. Around like 1990.
Yeah, dry system, forget about it. They were all wet, and I remember well, he's right because remember all the Fox bodies, they were all running nitrous, almost all.
Well, yeah, I think it was mostly the GM guys were running nitrous. Yeah, a lot of people out there running like Monty SS's.
That was one sad piece. That could have been so cool.
They ran good though. They were in it was straight. They were right in the thick of things.
Oh, but I mean, if you think about it, the 305, that HO motor that came in them, it was about the same horsepower.
You got to realize something too. Back in those days, we didn't have much in the way of tires to run on the street.
No.
You know what I mean?
It was like Mickey Thompson Sportsman Pro.
Right. Yeah.
That was about it.
Right. And they would hit and miss at best. Okay. Back in that period of time, we didn't have tires, so like you could throw 1,000 horsepower at something. And I tell you what. Back in the day, that was an easy way to find something you could beat to the other end. You look for the overpowered stuff.
Yeah.
Depending on the surface that you're running on. See, that's the thing about street racing. It's not the same every place. You're going to race one type of car at one venue. You're going to race another type of car at another venue. So, and they're all going to have different characteristics. So you would let's say you wanted to go hunting for higher horsepower cars. You suck them into going to a place like Fountain Avenue where there's like zero traction. There's like nothing, right? The street is always covered with silt and dirt because it was next to a landfill. And it's like, yeah, great, you got 900 fucking horsepower and tires this big. Come on, man, let's go. And you're going to beat them and it's a short run too. It's only 1,000-foot run there. And with a big dip at the end. Oh God, the dip was, I'll tell you stories about that. And yeah, I mean, you would just run away and hide from this guy while he's slipping and sliding there and everything else. So things weren't the same back then. Street racing was a lot more difficult back in the day.
Well, that and a fast street car at that time probably would have been like 10 flat.
10 flat, you were in rocket territory. But again, you see, it depends on the surface that you're racing on.
Right.
Because that 10 flat car would run 10 flat at the track. But remember, we didn't have drag radials.
No,
we didn't have anything like that.
I think the tires, like I said, the Mickey Thompson Sportsman Pro, and then you had Hoosier Quick Time. I think those were.
Well, they were dirt track tires.
Right.
They were dirt track tires.
But man, you'd wear them suckers out in a weekend.
I would use them McCreary's.
McCreary caps.
I like them McCreary's. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize, cars were slow in the 90s. No, the cars weren't slow. It was like the 80s. The cars weren't slow at all. The problem was you couldn't get the power to the ground. We just didn't have that science like you've got today. We didn't have the equipment and the tires and the
shocks
and shit like that.
Yeah.
There was
none of that stuff.
There was none of that stuff. So if you were running like a bottom 12-second car, a high 11-second car, and you can get that thing to actually stick and go, you were unbeatable. You could put a top fuel dragster in the other fucking lane, and you will run away and hide from it.
Oh,
yeah, people don't understand. It was a different world back then.
Yeah, I remember you'd go out street racing, and there'd be cars that had you want to know the worst hot rod tire ever was probably the best looking. Like you remember the Eagle ST? Oh, that were good looking tire. But God, when you want to talk about a turd when it came to street racing, I had better luck with Sears. What were they? The weather handlers or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. But they were only good when they were when there was nothing left of them.
Right.
When it was rolling, when the wear indicator was showing.
Yeah.
That's when that tire was.
It was killer.
Yeah.
Kelly Superchargers. Yep, that was another one of the tires that was good looking.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about those. Tiger Paw, that was before. That's the 60s.
That was every GM came with Tiger Paws all the way up to the 90s, remember? Like the S10s used to have Tiger Paws on them. We got the lives.
But it was fun. Street racing in the 80s the 70s and the 80s was a driver's game. You really had to know how to fucking drive. There was balancing the power. And today it's kind of you make this, you pour your pimp juice and you roll into it and you fucking go, and it's just different.
All right, so I got something here I'm going to address really quick. A Montana native asks from Frank McMullen, do you have a list of the old AHRA class records from when AHRA shut down? All right, here is a sad story I'm going to tell you guys real quick. When the original rendition of the AHRA ended in '84 with the death of Jim Tice, the families and the track owners, the Jim had originally set it up to where it was supposed to be divvied up amongst the tracks. The family did not want to go that way. There was nothing in writing, so they fought over it until all of it was pretty much gone. And then those records kind of went by the wayside. I get phone calls probably once a week, emails once a week, somebody looking for old record information. And I don't have anything historical. It's sad, but all right.
Into the tire soften and liquid. That didn't really work. Because on the street, as you're driving to wherever you're going to fucking race, you're picking up every little bit, every little crap that's.
If you wanted to find a serious guy, you'd find the dude that was changing his tires at the meetup point.
Yep.
Right. Don't mess with that dude. Don't mess with him. He knows what he's doing.
Positive traction torque twister. I had those.
Is that was it spring bending?
Yeah.
Clutch cracking.
You know what was a great fucking tire? Oh God.
I had some Hurst street cheater slicks. and they were killer.
Give me a minute. There was a tire. It was a truck tire. It was a light truck tire that was phenomenal on really bad surfaces. You had to get it hot. It was one of those tires that really, like
smoke show for sure.
Smoke show for sure. But I had so much good luck with them. Tracker LT.
Really?
It was called the Tracker LT.
Huh.
This was, I don't know who made them. I used to be able to look at them. There were always a lot of trucking outfits in the area.
Right.
So there was always like piles of like they used to use them on like delivery vans and shit like that. Right.
So you had like all these used tires you could buy for peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the Tracker LTs on oh god, they worked really good everywhere. I had a lot of good luck with those things.
Huh. Firestone Super Sports. Oh man. I think I tried almost all of them. I really did, and then there was only a few of them that were like surprising.
Big O tires. I had a set of those.
BF Goodrich TAs. Oh, that's way too new. You're talking like this was almost like the cheapest tires when tires were still fairly new, Oh, any tips on removing broken exhaust manifold bolts on my 360?
Get the drill.
Heat, man. Heat. I found a trick on this.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll do broken. I'm sure I got this is Buick Century or Buick Club, right? So, all right. I just so happen to have broken everything for Buicks. All right. So you got your broken studs, right? And I've become a pro. Yeah, and this one is fairly easy because you can slide a nut on there and weld it on, right? But let's say it's broken flush. And I don't know if you can see that in the video, can you? All right, so there's two broken studs here in this exhaust manifold. And if this was broken completely flush, the easiest thing to do, I found this trick that somebody told me about actually. Take your welder and you weld a bead just where the bolt is at.
Right.
Then quench it with a candle. Then you clean it off again and you weld another bead and slowly build this up. Okay? And once you slowly built it up, slip a nut over it, weld the nut on, and keep quenching it with wax every time you do a bead. Okay. And then once it starts to cool, wiggle that bolt back and forth, that nut back and forth, and it will back this out.
Well, but like this over here would be an easy one because I would just heat this with the torch, get it to like a dull red kind of thing, and then weld the nut to that.
Yep.
And then
pop right out. Rip. Yep. But
if it's broken flush, you got.
And Buicks are like every bolt. I'll show you. I got a couple hits here. So this is what you get when you mess with Buick junk. All right. Modus operandi 455. Okay. All right.
Oh, geez.
All right. Who can see that? That's the norm big block Buick.
Oh my God.
You're
gonna knock out the camera.
Huh?
You're gonna knock out the camera.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here, I'll pick it up. All right. So 455 Buick. Any of you Buick fans out there, you know this to be true. There is what? Literally
1, 2, 3, 4,
7
5.
bolts?
Yeah, there's 5 of them that are broken off completely, and these are going to. But no, this is all thread, man.
Right. Well, that's the bolt actually through the exhaust manifold. But what I did was, after I broke off 2 or 3 of them, I realized this thing's going to be a bitch. So I just chiseled the head off.
Okay.
And broke the heads off the other bolts, knowing that if I have some left, is easier than nothing.
Okay.
Right? Than it being flush. So, but this is like the norm. 455 Buick. Actually, any of the Buick V8s are pretty bad.
Hey, we were talking about, and this is something I've been pondering a lot because the subject of Harden seats keeps coming up. So let's switch gears.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick this back on the floor.
It occurred to me, I was porting ahead the other day, right? Porting ahead, and I was working on the exhaust port, the roof of the exhaust port, and I noticed how much harder that metal was than the metal around it. This was like one cylinder out of this engine. So evidently during this thing's life, for whatever reason, it had a cylinder that was running hot for an extended period of time. and
Hardened
it hardened the metal in the port.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it got me thinking: is there a way to harden seats?
Oh, while it's on the motor.
While it's on the motor, while it's running. Because if you stop and think about it, is there a way to get the seat? I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm pondering this. Right? Is there a way to get
there is
the seat hot enough and then quench it?
Put a bunch of timing in it.
Okay. Well, no, you take time away to get it hot.
Well, when does it start? Oh, maybe right. Yeah, retard timing.
Retard timing.
Okay. Get the exhaust manifold glowing.
Right.
Can you just then pour oil down the carburetor?
ATF.
Or ATF?
I don't see why that wouldn't work.
It might be something worth trying. We definitely need to get a junk motor that's like nobody cares about.
And play around with stuff like that.
Yeah. That would be killer. And like, we got to find out what the seat is like before you even start. So you have to tear the heads off, check the seats out, and then try your plan, after you bolt it all back together.
Doug Nogden wants Dr. Oldsmobile to prescribe something for my car. I would consult with Elephant Engine Ernie, actually. Do you remember that one?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, man. Doc, Doc Olds.
Oh, yeah.
Olds. Well, his sidekick was Elephant Engine Ernie. And he was just this big guy who used to carry around motors.
Uh-huh. I just like that. You remember the old sign, the Dr. Oldsmobile sign? The doctor is in, right? That was such a killer, marketing campaign that they did with that. I mean, the Oldsmobiles, they ran okay, but man, those W package cars, look out. Those things were freight trainers.
Joe Garagiola, yeah, I forgot about that. That's like 1972, 1973. Okay, what do we got here? Cam timing help, 78 318, 727 small block converter on the farm truck. Autoblock 318, 360 performer intake, 600 CFM ABS, 7340 cam. I installed straight up. I think it's worth advancing 4 degrees. Yes, advance it. It absolutely needs to be advanced. And you need much more carburetor than that. Throw an 80, well, I mean, it's what you have, so use it. But you would have been better off with a 750 or even an 800 Edelbrock.
Or it's a Mopar small block, right?
Yeah.
You could Q-jet it or thermoquad it, right?
Yeah, thermoquad. Or Q-jet it, yeah.
Should I add lead to the gas and zinc to the oil on a 60s 283? I would definitely be running zinc oil. The motor's got a ton of miles on it, I'm sure, at this point. If it hasn't been rebuilt, you could probably get away with leaving just, minimal zinc, like you're doing a Rotella T or whatever. It'd probably be fine. But lead in the oil or lead in the gas on a small block Chevrolet, that was the ones where everybody was complaining about and beating the seats out of the heads. It was the small block Chevys. I would have to say, yeah, run a lead substitute. It can't hurt anything.
Alan Axion, where's the Miata? On the trailer at the back of the lot. It's going to the shop. We're going to start working on it soon.
Huh.
Andrew Button. I met Joe Mondello one time. He was hiding out and caught him at the event. He moved here to Tennessee right before he passed away. And he was one of the people I really wanted to meet, and I never got a chance to. Dallas. Do the small block Chevys not have much quench area around the seats?
Do not have much quench area? Ooh, I don't know. I'm not a small block Chevrolet guy. I am not at all. I'm going to go with probably no.
Do you guys remember the great smell of leaded gas cars? Yeah.
Race gas. But that's what I call it. But that's what every car had back then, right? That was just called gas.
Scott W., how is the Valiant coming along? I haven't touched it since December. But I've been gathering parts, so.
Is that the Gambler?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't wait to get that thing going.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun car. We'll be back on that soon. Let's see. Remember driving past the gas station back when you could smell the gas all the way down the street? Yeah. 307 versus 318.
Versus Chevrolet?
Yeah. I think you flip a coin. I think the 318 has, well, the 318's got a better cylinder head. Just the configuration of it. So yeah, the 318 is probably a better choice.
This guy's saying build a burnout car for Cletus McFarland events. Did he even invite you to that thing?
No, but I mean, why would he? That's a different level. It's at a different level.
I think you should show up, just gate crash it with a Gambler 500 and just do a freaking monster burnout.
We could do that. But honestly, Dave, I mean, yeah, a burnout car would be cool, but I mean, I have a hard enough time getting to the track, the regular track, to do regular stuff. So to build a burnout car to dedicate, resources to doing that, and go down to Florida to do a couple of burnouts, it's just not in the cards right now. 273 versus 283. Again, the 273's got a fantastic cylinder head.
And weren't they all like mechanical cam or they're adjustable valve train?
Say that again?
273? Wasn't 273s like the adjustable valve trains on them?
It's 64 through 66. 67 they went to hydraulics.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
A copy of AHRA Drag World September 30th, 1984, which lists all class records at that time. Can you send it to me? Even just a copy of it, and then said email it to me. Like if you take a picture of it with your phone, just email it to me. It's Dallas@ahraonline.com.
Charles Gorton, 400 Chrysler, MP 509 cam, Edelbrock TM7, home ported 516 heads. Do you guys think it'll make decent power? Yes. Going to use an 850 carb. Good. And just for conversation, it's going to 79 Aspen. Do you still have the 1.6 exhaust valves in those 516s? Because 400 really wants the bigger exhaust valve. Not that the 1.6 is going to be a handicap. But yeah, you'll make great power with that. It'd be a lot of fun. What?
Some guy was saying, does the smell of race gas give you a chubby like it does me? Like, well, it depends. Puts a smile on my face, but I don't know about a chubby.
Fubar, thank you for posting the link to our merch. So hats, shirts, stickers, right? Keeping the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for posting that link.
He's always helping. He's always helping you out.
I call him Fubar the helper, but he's really like Fubar I call Fubar the axe because somebody like step out of line, bam, squash him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's really Fubar like the angel, like the helper. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's always
one step ahead. He's thinking what you're thinking only 20 minutes from now.
Yeah, and he's always posting like somebody mentioned a channel or something like that. He'll find the link to it, post a link, and
well, that's a good mod.
No, they're all good. They're all.
Oh, now he's pushing the AHRA.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Oh man, Fubar the axe. Get it right.
You guys are all awesome.
Smelling like lead when I was a kid. It's nothing to miss.
What do I think of the Olds 455? Great motor. Just a great all-around motor. You can't really say, anything bad about it. Chelsea K. Larson. Is a 600 CFM Edelbrock carb too small for a 74-360 with a comp cam kit, 462, 470 lift with Edelbrock air gap manifold, cam installed straight up with stock distributor with light springs. That's a really small cam. I mean, that's only like just slightly bigger than the stock like 360 cam, which is like 444. I don't know what your duration is on that cam, but that's besides the point. Installed straight up. The 600 is definitely too small. Definitely too small. You want on the Edelbrock, you would want a minimum at 800, and the equivalent of that would be like a 750 Holly. And that's at the minimum. Taser Dakota. No, we can't tase Dakota.
Chris Hensley's asking, why do most 396, 325 horse engines, what does it say? Run right with outrun 3-3 with 440 heads with same gears, 4 speed. I don't know that to be the case at all, but
I don't really know that that's the case.
um,
I mean, that might be your experience, but I don't have. I mean, I can't tell countless 83s, through the course of my life, and I never worried about a 396 Chevy. Crusade, Uncle Tony, what's going on, Crusade?
I have a small black Chevy 350. Whenever I give it some RPMs, probably about 2,000, 2,500, it backfires through the carb. Any ideas what I should look at? I plan on valves, timing, and distributor.
What was that? A small Chevy.
He says revs it up. Anything around 2,000 to 2,500 starts backfiring. It sounds like it might be lean. Like it's leaning out.
Yeah, or I mean, see, that's a good place to look at valve specs. That's a good possibility to look at valve specs.
For flow?
Or what?
For valve flow?
For valve flow. It could have a lifter issue too. I've had that actually I had that with a crate motor where the retaining spring for the lifter popped, for the cup popped out, and the lifter pumped up beyond where so a bunch of different things could be.
Okay.
Oh, Breon. Is that my name, Breon? Breon, what's going on, brother man? Breon has a dunk.
Oh yeah.
Breon scored.
That's the big like 24-inch wheels on like the
box. Yeah, it's kind of like these giant. It's a 74 Caprice, right? We got to use this in a video. I got to use this thing in a video. It's a 74 Caprice. It's red. It's got like the interior is all right. It's got. Breon, how big are the wheels on that car, bro? But I love it. It's so over the top. You know what I mean? It's like it's.
Is it the 2-door 60?
Yeah, it's a convertible.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Caprice convertible.
That's actually kind of cool. They do a lot of. Have you seen the donks drag racing now?
Yeah.
There was
the donk master.
Some of them are fast as hell, and you're like, that car has no sidewall. How's it even running like that?
Land on top. No, it's a drop top, man. Buff is here. Buff is there. There he is.
All right. 40. Come on, 383s.
Freedom, we got to take that car and just go roll around in it, man. You know what would be funny, right? Is have would be a blast.
Dane's Garage is actually asking a question right now. All right, here's a question for a street strip 406 small block Chevy. Would you do annular booster or drop down leg, dog leg booster?
That's a question.
It's a street strip mower. Annular is good for like just
higher
racing.
Higher RPM.
I would probably do the drop down dog legs.
For a street car, yeah. If everything's going to be mostly from the dig, you're going to be powering through the 2,000-3,000 RPM range, then yeah. But if it's a more sustained high RPM deal, then definitely go with the fucking annuals. Buff is the stuff. We got to put buff in the donk. Good luck in hunting. Tony, friend, question. I'm a transgender mechanic. I had a customer hurt my feelings because I was in high heels. How do I acknowledge this customer once a month? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if you're joking around or if you're serious.
First off, you tell them it's ma'am. All right. Oh, are headers better than exhaust manifolds on a daily driver? Exhaust manifolds all the way. That's my take on it.
For the hassle. I mean, I got headers on one of my daily drivers, and it doesn't really give me any trouble. But yeah, you're really better off with just exhaust manifolds for daily driver. I mean, really, real daily driver.
Yeah, if you're not caring about any of the power, exhaust manifold's the way to go.
Oh, God. Excuse me.
Running out of gas.
I
Hey,
am
you know what we
running out of
haven't
gas.
talked about?
What have we talked about?
Slanted Nationals, September the 5th.
How do we not talk about the
I don't know.
Nationals on September the 5th?
I have no idea. Probably because I took the flyer and put it inside or something.
Well, okay. Well, I think I have I got a flyer in my phone. But yeah, Slanted Nationals, Sykes in Missouri,
September the 5th.
September the 5th.
Oh, hey, I got contacted by a Slant 6 group.
Oh.
And they're all wanting to come down, but they want to run points. And I said, okay, well, no big deal. We'll pull you guys aside. So class
Yeah, so they have
5,
this series and they get the
right, and then they
yeah.
can jump into other classes if they want and back to
Excellent.
back. But they're going to be there, and there's some cars that are, I was told, guaranteed run 7s, right?
In the 8th mile.
In it,
Yeah.
which is pretty fast.
Yeah, well, you got to clarify for people because a lot of people, you say 7.
Yeah, 7.
Oh, 7
They were,
seconds.
well, they were saying 11 seconds in the quarter mile,
right?
So, which is pretty healthy. What main attribute do annular boosters have? Well, annular boosters sit a little bit higher inside the bore, right?
Well, there's the signal through the actual booster itself is cleaner.
Right.
It's a bigger diameter.
Right.
But because it's a bigger diameter, it wants to work at a higher RPM.
Well, it needs more air
It
velocity.
needs a higher. It needs a better signal.
Right.
Right.
But it also sits a little higher than that dog leg booster, right? Doesn't the dog leg sit down a little bit further into the carburetor venturi, right? So it has a good signal all the time.
Yeah. It does. It atomizes better, but it requires a healthier signal to do it. So it's generally an engine that operates on a higher RPM range is going to benefit from that. You're not going to see the benefit let's say an engine, a low vacuum engine situation, a larger cam, tight converter, leaving from 1,000, 1,200, right? Having to drive into like a 2,000 RPM converter. The annular booster is dead. Right? Like you have to run a vacuum secondary in that case because you're not going to pull any air through that.
So this right here, the Mopar Man 78, which he and I chat quite often actually. There's a Grabber Green 62 Plymouth Valiant that shows up at Mocan Speedway by Joplin that does 7s with a slant. That's actually one of the guys that's going to be there.
I've seen that. There's a video of that car racing in Hellcat.
Exactly, and they're bringing another car. They're bringing another car that's a 66 Dart wagon with a factory 4-speed and a slant.
That was actually a pretty common option.
Really?
Oral B marketing team said 99 cents.
Oh, well, thanks. Keep the teeth clean.
Yeah.
I've been wiping my hand now for like 10 minutes with that breath. Best lumpy cam for Pontiac 389. What are you going for? You just want the chop? You want it to sound like Hop the Teacher when you start the sucker up? Didn't they used to have cams that were, didn't Lenati or somebody make some that were like Voodoo or whatever?
Yeah,
all about the sound?
Yeah, well, either that or just like run around with the chokes almost closed.
Well, that's true. You fatten them up, they sound pretty good too.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean, if you're just looking for like a cruising type of thing, where you're just looking for a sound, don't bother with cam. Just put a manual choke on the car, and when you want to impress people, close the choke down, and you'll get that cam sound you're looking for.
All right, so Mike N 32451. Best way to clean out 17 years of carbon buildup. It's dieseling when warmed up. 350 small block Buick. This is something I ran into before.
What is it?
It's a small block Buick he wants to know how to clear out 17 years of carbon. It's dieseling when it's warmed up. And I'm assuming what he means by dieseling, there's only two. Well, what I know is dieseling is when you turn the key off, the car keeps running.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm kind of wondering if maybe he's talking about detonation, because those things are prone to detonation. But what I have seen is at HEI, the weights will freeze out on them suckers. And when they freeze out, the mechanical advance is advanced all the time. And it makes them difficult to start, but then they also diesel really bad when you turn them off because the timing is so far advanced. But if you want to clean the carbon out, to answer your question, get the motor fairly warm, and then pour some ATF down there, down the carburetor. Or I've seen water, just a little bit of water. Just keep it running. You're gonna have to throttle it some as you pour a little bit of ATF or a little bit of water down there. But it's gonna blow out quite a bit of carbon that's in there.
John Mazzio, annular boosters were also known as truck boosters. I don't think you guys know a ton of stock OEM carbs have them. I do know that a ton of stock OEM carbs have them. But then let's go back to, where is he? What was his name? Get back here. John Mazzio. All right, so John, expand on that, would you please? All right, well, we're waiting for John to pop up. Let's see. 65, 66 four-door light. Well, John, that carburetor is actually the Summit carburetor these days, because it was four-door. It was originally four-door light. Then Holly bought it, and Holly produced that carburetor. They moved the accelerator pump down to the normal, like Holly position. They made a couple of small changes, but they kept those boosters. And then now the current Summit carburetor is that 65. The four-door light carburetor, and yes, it does have annular boosters, and they're big annular boosters, and that carb works extremely well. But it is the exception to the rule.
So I'm taking they probably did their homework when they built that carburetor. I wonder what killed that carburetor.
Well, also it's a vacuum secondary carburetor, right? So you could tailor it, you throw a black spring in there and then layer, you know what I mean? You're not going to get any secondary action.
Right.
Until.
Well, what killed that Autolite 4100 off? Was it just the lack of people using it?
Well, hang on,
parts available?
Yeah, John, no, I know it's a stock OEM carb, but listen, picture this now, right? It's still it's a vacuum secondary carburetor, right? You've got the accelerator pump to make up for any laziness on the hit on the primary side. On the secondary side, you've got a vacuum secondary that's going to delay the action on it until there's enough to actually put that booster to work. I know the carburetor you're talking about, and it's an excellent carburetor. But again, see, it's the exception rather than the rule. It was known you could run the engine with the top off, yeah. Okay, we're coming up on 2 hours here. We got just a couple of minutes left. I love these. These Wednesday things are a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, I like them.
We got a great crowd for these. It's like they're.
Well, there is the exceptions to the rule, but most of the time it's really good questions and entertaining, and it's thought provoking.
Absolutely. I mean?
We went all the way from Captain Jack McClure running his rocket peroxide powered go-kart all the way to Ford 4100 Autolite carburetors.
How do you know the hot chick with the Nova again? She's my neighbor. All right. Seriously, boys, wonder why car gals ain't in evidence. It could be certain toxic atmospheres and politics. This was toxic?
I can't think of it being toxic. It sounds like maybe another troll. Time to go.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up here. Guys, thank you for everybody contributed to Super Chat. Everybody contributed to the conversation.
Harry, Australia.
Even the
I sent your
trolls,
I
thank
sent your
you.
decals today. So Harry, Australia hit me up, wanted some decals sent down to South Australia. So I sent him some today. Anyway, hey, my Australia guys, and my Camp Carnage beer koozie from Bathurst. We were on the Hill Corner, pit number 297, 299 in 2009. Bathurst 1000.
Oh, I see that. Oh, okay.
Huh.
Regarding, no, I was talking about the toxic stuff. There was side conversations and trolling. Oh. But anyway, okay. So AHRA online, right? Go there, join the AHRA.
Yep.
Right, because you have to. It's
And we got a fan-only membership. Just about anyone, I mean, like literally anyone could do that. $35, you get all the stuff everybody else gets, and we send you a shirt.
And wow, that's such a good deal.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. Wish I would have had that when I was a kid growing up.
And then we've got our merch, right? UncleTony'sGarage.com. Yeah.
Hit it up. Buy a hat. What does Uncle Kathy say? You can get a shirt as long as it's black with white lettering on it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Any color you want, as long as it's black, all of it. And yeah, we've got more merch coming, more different things that you guys are gonna like, I think. Okay, so that's it, guys. We're gonna check out now. Food Bar, John, Ari, Zero. Thank you, guys.
Still the best mods in the business.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we got the best audience in the business. These guys are all fantastic. I always have fun with these. So that's it. We're gonna pull a plug. We'll see you here next week. We'll be live on Sunday night with Buff Del Campo, the return of Buff Del Campo.
I don't know what it is.
You will. And,
I'm
and
excited just to see it.
Hopefully Breon brings out the dunk and we go rolling around Nashville in that thing, man.
With some hot chicken.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. Good night.
See you later.
In the stream. Boom, just like that. Look, it's over.